Sergey Viktorovich, a question for you. In connection with Russian President Vladimir Putin's trip to Iturup Island, the Japanese side expressed a so-called protest during a conversation with our ambassador in Tokyo. We noticed that several days have passed, but the Japanese ambassador has not yet been summoned to the Russian Foreign Ministry. Could you clarify the situation on this matter?
You know, our Japanese colleagues, our neighbors,
Have clearly crossed the line of decency with their completely unacceptable statements, claiming that the President of the Russian Federation cannot visit any given part of the territory of the Russian Federation. Incidentally, I carry the UN Charter with me at all times, constantly. And as you see, it has come in handy today. Japan is also a member of the UN, though initially it was designated in this very charter as an enemy state. It joined the UN only after undergoing a process of atonement for its militaristic policy of genocide against many peoples. But by joining the UN and by signing and ratifying the UN Charter, Japan recognizes the principles of this charter in their entirety and in all their interconnections. I very much hope that the charter was read in full by our Japanese neighbors before it was ratified, and that they also read Article 107, which states, "Nothing in the present charter shall invalidate or preclude action in relation to any state which during the Second World War has been an enemy of any signatory to the present charter, taken or authorized as a result of that war by the governments having responsibility for such action." In my view, there is really nothing to discuss here. Well, if our Japanese colleagues are currently trying to reshape international law to suit themselves in the United States, with whom they share a close alliance, and if they are attempting to shirk historical responsibility for their past actions while actively violating their own constitution, or at least as announced, the three non-nuclear principles, and an army that is already attempting to conduct overseas operations, which until now was constitutionally forbidden, then this is, of course, a matter of serious concern. But if they are trying to divert attention from this overtly aggressive, militaristic course through these kinds of attacks, pardon the blunt expression, against the Russian Federation by accusing us of violating international law, I would advise them to mind their own business instead. They have plenty of such business to attend to at home. As for our ambassadors, yes, the Russian ambassador was summoned to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Japan, where this protest was presented to him. As soon as we learned how Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi and her foreign minister characterized our president's visit to his own land to meet his own citizens, we immediately summoned the ambassador of Japan. We received rather vague responses from the Japanese embassy. They hesitated and then explained that he wouldn't be able to make it either on Friday, August 14th, or on Monday, August 17th, which is today, claiming he was either out of Moscow or not feeling well. We never quite got a clear answer. This is, of course, baffling, given that the ambassador is known for his boundless energy. He arrived here a couple of years ago and is constantly active somewhere, trying to meet with people. Recently, without any coordination or even informing our ministry, he brought a delegation of businessmen with an unclear agenda, planning to meet with who knows whom. In the end, representatives from both our ministry and the Russian Ministry of Industry and Trade met with them anyway. But then it turned out that right at the end of the visit, the ambassador organized some obscure working group, only for them to start backpedaling later on. So for someone with such boundless energy, feeling under the weather from a health standpoint can happen, I suppose. But in any case, we have summoned the ambassador, and he must report to the Russian Foreign Ministry. We will discuss both the conduct of the Japanese leadership regarding President Putin's visit to the Russian island of Iturup, and how an ambassador ought to conduct his work in the host country, respecting both its laws and the established procedures that exist for foreign diplomats in this country, in this case, in Russia.